And just like that, another Chicago street course has come and gone. It was the tale of two stories this weekend for Kaulig Racing. We'll start with Xfinity here today. Hopefully everybody had a fantastic week. And joining me as always, it's Ryan. What's going on, man? It's always good when we get to come on here and celebrate a win.
Hey, Sean. Sure is. I definitely enjoy the trophy hunting moniker. And when we can achieve trophies, it is a good weekend. So I think we left a little bit on the table on the Cup side. But, man, I was happy to see the performance on the Xfinity side. Another SVG win in the books this year. It's number 3. It's a good start.
Yeah, it was at the end of the day, when your cars finished first, 11th, and 12th, and one of those guys was probably projected to finish somewhere, towards 30th. Not a bad weekend. SVG obviously wins, gives him his third straight road course win, if you will. Him and Kyle Larson really duked it out early on. That was like in my opinion, it's the best racing we've seen on the street course in the 4 events that they've held.
The racing between SVG and Kyle Larson was epic. No two ways around it. I mean, 2 of the best racers in the world just going door to door, bumper to bumper. The first 20 or so laps were just spectacular racing. And, each lap, they were just one after the other passing each other. So I thoroughly enjoyed, and I won't even just say it's the best street racing we've seen in the 4 races. That's some of the best road racing I've seen in years. I mean, just the level of talent that those 2 gentlemen have were on display and really, really impressive to see.
Yeah, it's always great when your guy wins or one of your guys wins. But that racing was like, I was mildly confident they were both going to wreck really early on.
I do. I agree with that. Like the corners are so tight, especially through the complex 4, 5, and 6. There's no room to go too wide, and yet they managed to do it several times. So, just the car control, right? To keep everything under control, to not wreck each other, give each other just enough space was incredible to see. And, to that point, I think we saw AJ make a mistake trying to keep up with what SVG and Kyle Larson were able to do on the course, because he just overcooked a corner and wheel hopped and sent it into the barriers, trying to keep pace with what Kyle and SVG were doing. So just watching that performance and watching them go door to door was truly some of the most entertaining racing, bar none, I've seen this year, the last couple of years. So I mean, and of course, the fact that SVG, our guy, came out on top is, the cherry on top to that performance was that, not only did they race wheel to wheel with the best in the world, but he flat out beat him. After stage 1, it wasn't much of a competition. I know they had to work their way through traffic, and, the strategy kind of took away from them being able to race each other so competitively the rest of the day. But we were able to see SVG do something that Kyle couldn't do, and that was get through traffic and get back to the front and, bring the home the victory, which in and of itself, to me, really just cements the fact that SVG is the best road racer in NASCAR right now. And I know AJ's right there with him. Kyle Larson's right there with him, and a handful of others. But what he was able to do was just spectacular. And I'm just literally at a loss for words at how talented he is, especially at these street courses, which is just next level.
Yeah, as crazy as it sounds, man, I can't go there yet. I'm not there. If we're talking in terms of Xfinity success this year, yeah, he's the guy to be right now. But the results are not translating on Cup, and we'll get to that. Well, that certainly wasn't his fault yesterday. I think there's a difference between being able to win in Xfinity and being able to win at Cup. Also, like, kudos to SVG. Like, make no mistake, Kyle Larson is driving the far better car on Saturday. Your car's coming from Hendrick Motorsports. It is not the same as a Kaulig car. It is not prepped the same. The R&D is not the same. Kyle Larson's getting the best that money can buy in the sport, basically. And it didn't matter. SVG was still that much better. And kudos to Kyle Larson. I don't know if you heard his interview there after the race, but he's like, yeah, I did what I could to keep up with him, but make no mistake, he's a lot better than I am at this. And I was just doing whatever I could to hang with him. I think the really unfortunate thing is AJ did make that mistake, the wheel hop there. And, you know, it's unfortunate because he was really the only other, like, I know Ty Gibbs finished second, but AJ was better than Ty Gibbs early on in that race. AJ was the only guy gaining on them for a bit. And it didn't look like that through practice or qualifying. AJ seems to have a thing for doing that in a race. Obviously, the team makes adjustments too. But I would have liked to see the 3-car shootout more. But there was a variable of things that got in the way. I just also want to touch it. Like AJ came all the way from the back again with very few green flag laps to add to finish 11th. Probably would have finished 8th or 9th, but had to avoid Sam Mayer's spin there. Sam Mayer got spun, I should say. I believe it was by Connor Mozak, too. I could be wrong. But dude, I just want to, obviously kudos to SVG. He's the guy to beat in Xfinity right now. I still, as an SVG fan, I love it. But until I see those results translate on normal Cup road courses, I can't go as far to call him the best road racer in NASCAR. That being said, he shows up at Watkins Glen and wins. I'll shut my mouth. So that's a different beast, though. Dude, let's talk about the lack of racing on Saturday. Now, I don't have I've been looking for it, the lap breakdown, but I'm pretty sure we were close to a 50-50 split of green versus yellow. And only 50 laps to boot. And even, I think that race started what? I think that we went green around
3:30 Eastern, so earlier than the Cup race.
Still too late, though, in my opinion. And the race is just way too short when you have to run as many laps as you do for the stage breaks under yellow, and then the yellows themselves coming out because, hey, it's a street course and those are hard. You and I have played F1. You and I have both done some iRacing too, and they're not. Those are no easy tracks to navigate. But man, as much as I enjoyed the green flag racing that we got, and they put on a show, running half the race under yellow and essentially only getting, somewhere between 25 and 30 green flag laps, to me, that's not enough. And I actually feel really bad for the people paying ass loads of money to go.
Yeah, and we kind of know this too, because the Xfinity series in general, right, is just top to bottom, not nearly as strong. So when you start venturing below, truthfully, probably 15th, 20th place in the field, you get to a point where the talent level doesn't necessarily match up with what the equipment is capable of, and it devolved and we saw this coming from a mile away. Stage 3 just devolved into a wreck fest, and you could get 2-3 laps and then a caution, and then the cautions would take 2 or 3 laps, and there just weren't enough laps in that race to really get any sort of rhythm. Even the first stage, now that I go back on it, was only 15 laps. And as exciting as those 15 laps were, it went by in a blink. And these cars are turning 90-second lap times. So it's not like they're at Road America that's 4.5 miles. I mean, this track is relatively short. They were making good lap time, and it went really fast when they were racing. So I definitely think they should have had at least a 65, 70 lap race. It would have performed, I think, would have reduced the amount of carnage we saw in the stage 3 had there been more laps. So it kind of built on top of each other. But within that, I agree that it didn't allow for the best cars to get back to the front. SVG took the lead with 2 laps left. He damn near didn't get back to the front. And Kyle Larson didn't get back to the front. So it definitely wasn't long enough. But at the same token, with the Xfinity cars, it still took so long to get the race done because they were under caution. So they definitely should have had a longer race. But at the same token, I understand with the Xfinity cars, some of those drivers didn't need to be out there as long as they were. But to the point, AJ was faster than snot. And because of how the stage 3 had, kind of went down with all the cautions, with all the wrecks and all the spins, that had he not made his mistake, he was right there and could have pounced and won that race had he been in position. And that's the part that's frustrating to me. SVG was able to capitalize. AJ wasn't able to give himself that opportunity, but you live to race another day, right?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, SVG wins. AJ comes home 11th. Williams 12th. I'd like to see 25, 30 laps added onto that race, get it up to 75, 80 laps, get the cup race up to 100 laps, start the cup race like 3 hours earlier, how you don't learn from your own mistakes. We'll touch on that on our next video, which will be available tomorrow. But yeah, SVG takes home another win. That's 3. That'll put him in first place when the playoff starts, I believe, which he's going to need. I'm just being honest. As an SVG fan, you got to be honest with yourself. He's going to need, because he'll be good on the ovals. Is the oval in the first stage?
It is not. It's in the second round.
Okay. So, and I love SVG, but he's not the favorite when you go there. The guy who's never lost there is the favorite when you go there until proven otherwise. So that means SVG needs all the bonus points he can get in that first round. And I definitely hope it works out. But it's a win, trophy hunting, and it's hard to argue with first, 11th, and 12th. Tune into our next video. We'll review the Cup Series and discuss whether this track should make a return in 2025 or not. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, set notifications to all. We really appreciate all the comments down in the chat. We love the engagement. Thanks for tuning in. For Ryan, I'm Sean, and we'll see you next time. Check us out on our socials.